Finding survivors at the beginning of a match can be quite a pain. Sometimes it feels like you've never spawned in that location before and you have no idea in which direction you should head to be able to find a survivor. Here I have some tips for you that you'll be able to use to be able to more consistently find survivors at the beginning of a match. Let's go. I want to make it clear that this is not a specific guide for each specific spawn, so you can learn exactly where you should go for each spawn point and be able to know which is the closest survivor and the best survivor to go towards. No, this video is a general guide to be able to help you find survivors more consistently, especially if you're having a lot of trouble picking up Hunter for the first time because you don't know where to go. This will also help people who've been playing the game for a long time so that they know which areas they can more consistently find survivors in and which places are probably better for them to head towards. Let's begin with Red Church. This map has some very interesting spawns, especially for hunters, since the hunters always spawn in the south of the map, either near the graveyard area or between the top broken and wedding area that I'm showing now on the screen. This means that there are always survivors in the north area of the map since you are spawning in the south and survivors won't spawn right next to you. If you spawn near the graveyard area of the map, the best place for you to head towards would be towards Shack or towards Backgate. I don't want you to go straight through Church to be able to do this because in most cases this is a waste of time and you won't find a survivor there. The best place to be able to guarantee you get tinnitus and to find a survivor on your path towards Shack or Backgate is to go around the east side of the church or the right hand side. This will guarantee you finding a survivor on your way to the Shack or at the Shack itself. When spawning in the center of the map, you have multiple options again. Once again, you can head towards the Shack area, or you can head towards Top Broken that will always have a survivor. As a rule of thumb for Red Church, you'll always find a survivor near the Backgate area, the Shack, or in Top Broken. Unless you yourself are near the Top Broken area, of course. Heading towards these locations from any spawn point will definitely give you some tinnitus, and you will find a survivor on your way. Moving on to Arms Factory. This map has some spawns that are very consistent. Once again, Shack is a place that you will always find a survivor at, or at least in the nearby area. So in most cases, when you spawn, you want to head towards the Shack by sweeping near or through the middle area because you will find a survivor there, or at least in that general area. This will give you tinnitus either because you're near the Shack or because you're near the middle. Also, unless you yourself spawn at the factory, there is always a survivor next to the factory area. Usually you'll find 2 survivors near the factory. Sacred Heart is up next, and this map is a bit problematic because the places where survivors usually spawn the most often are the strongest places on the map. So in this case you do need to decide whether it's a good idea for you to go to the areas that I will list out. In most cases the first one that I'm about to explain now is not really the best idea unless you're completely confident in your skills at chasing. In every spawn except for the spawn where you yourself spawn inside of the hospital, you will always find a survivor in the hospital or in the surrounding area of the hospital. This is a problem because if you go into the hospital, you are going to have to try and chase them around here. This is probably one of the strongest places for someone to kite in the whole of the game. So where should you go instead? Well, also 1 or 2 survivors will always spawn in the ruins area of the map. Usually there's also a survivor near the Shack area, or at least most survivors will transition towards the Shack as well. So it is in most cases guaranteed that if you head towards ruins or head towards ruins and Shack, you will definitely get tinnitus and find a survivor, possibly even 2. Lakeside is a huge map, and similar to Lakeside, it has some very strong kiting points where survivors will usually spawn. The biggest problem here, for example, is Big Boat, where there is almost always a survivor at Big Boat. If you really want to go and chase here, you do need to be warned that, similar to Hospital, this is a very strong place for survivors to kite in, so you can waste a lot of time, but you are guaranteed to find someone there. As a general rule, if you find yourself on the east side of the map, you want to transition to the west side of the map, heading towards Miniboat or the Shack kind of area. Either sweeping through the middle if you are near the middle area when you spawn, or sweeping around the Shack towards the center / maybe going towards the Miniboat again. On your way to these areas, you will definitely find survivors and you'll get some tinnitus. Shack once again has a survivor there most of the time, and Miniboat again is a bit of a problem because if someone spawns there, they will instantly take that cipher. If you find yourself on the west side of the map, you should most probably transition towards the big boat, but in most cases you shouldn't go through the middle. Instead, you should try and transition by sweeping through the south of the map. This will give you a higher chance of finding a survivor on your way to mini boat and giving you that tinnitus that you need. Just to clarify, tinnitus is the persona web ability that hunters have that you will see at the top left of your screen is where the ear symbol is. This means that there is a survivor within 36 meters of you. Moonlit River Park does have a very different shape to the other maps that I've listed today. Compared to the other 4 that have a square shape, Moonlit River Park is more of a rectangle. This can make it a bit problematic because there is a lot of space for you to transition through. But there are some very key, important different places that survivors will spawn that you will be able to use to your advantage. There are also some really bad spawns where there will also usually be a survivor there, but you should probably not head there. Wherever you spawn, there are 2 key places that you will want to go towards. Either Carousel, not the broken one, but the one that's working, and also Tent, because in these 2 places, you'll always find a survivor nearby. As a rule of thumb, you should definitely go to these areas because there is usually at least one survivor that will spawn in the 2-story haunted house building, and usually somebody who spawns near Godkite area. This is a problem because if you go towards the 2-story, you're going to waste a lot of time chasing, and Godkite, as it is called, is kind of a problem because survivors will kite there for a very long time. There are some hunters that can chase here, so depending on who you play, for example Sculptor and Bonbon might be a good decision to go towards Godkite if you are confident, but in most cases you want to go towards the working Carousel or towards Tent because these are the safest places for you to chase, and you will always get tinnitus on your way to these areas. I wanted to take the last part of this video to discuss the current situation with the English-speaking Identity V community. Recently, one of our biggest content creators in the English-speaking community of Identity V has decided to quit, his name being Persuadable, and most of you probably already know who he is. This is a big blow to the English-speaking Identity V community, and I will leave a link towards his video explaining his decision why and his reasoning why, and I'll leave it down in the comments below, in a pinned comment. He really does make some great points and puts bluntly what I've been kind of talking about in my recent videos discussing some of the problems that Identity V has had. I've also seen a lot of comments from you guys also saying that you are not really happy with the current situation that the game is in. So me and him are not the only people who have a problem with the game as it is right now. The recent video that I made with Diane Raindrops also capitalized on some of the problems, and we discussed some of the kind of solutions that we thought would be great for the game, but once again, we have not seen NetEase respond to any of these problems yet, and I'm not sure if they ever will. Persuadable seems to think that they won't. Some of these issues include the ping issue, also the tournaments, and the balancing of the game as a whole, at least in our NAEU server, because the Chinese server is different. If you love this game but really started to feel frustrated recently because of either you playing Hunter and not feeling like it's balanced, or because of ping issues, or because of something else completely, please don't take out your anger and your frustration on some of the other players in the game. Please don't be toxic and don't spread any toxicity in the community. Instead, please be very vocal towards NetEase, the company that owns Identity V itself. Voice your complaints or your improvements or your problems with the game as a whole, because they may not listen to one individual person, but they will listen to a huge community of people who are trying to communicate to them. Or at least that's what we would hope. The players of the game are not the ones that are to blame here. They are choosing the characters that they choose or playing the way that they play because they are also frustrated as well, and they know that there are certain characters and certain things that they can do to win more often. The more they win, the more confident they feel and the more happy they feel. So please don't blame the players, although there are of course people who are just looking for problems. If you don't enjoy this game anymore, I really don't blame you, and you're more than welcome to take a break from the game. But please don't just try and stay positive for yourself, but instead try and share the positivity with others. Because the more positivity we have in the community, the more we can make out of this slightly broken game at the moment. I will continue to make Identity V content for the moment, or at least for the time being, but I am really worried for the near future of Identity V, at least in our server. But anyway, if you found this information useful and you would like to see a part 2 to this video where I discuss the spawn points, the best places for you to go towards if you're playing a hunter and you want to know where to go, well please give this video a like and comment down below if there are any other tips or suggestions you would make to people who would like to learn and improve on their spawn point abilities. Also, please subscribe if you'd like to learn some more information about Identity V and other games in general. Take care guys, have a great day, bye bye.